Okay, everybody. Today I am going to start my next meal in a Mylar bag, and it is going to be red beans and rice using my leftover ham from Christmas. And we're going to be serving collard greens with that, and cornbread, and butterscotch pudding. I'm going to try and get this all in one load. So overnight I have been soaking a pound of red beans in water. While that was soaking, I took my ham bone and put it in the crock pot with some water and cooked that on low overnight. Then I picked out the meat from there, and I got the as I picked it out, I took the fat off of it the best I could, and that's what I have left over. Then I tasted that ham and it was a bit bland, so I thought, well, I should have put some onions in there. So I put about 2 tablespoons of these dried minced onions in with my ham. So now the collard greens are already cooked, so I've opened the can and I drained it as best I could. We're going to mix that in there, and I'm going to season that up a little bit. I'm going to put some black pepper in there, about a half a teaspoon. I'm going to put my go-to slap your mama Creole seasoning in there. Like I tell everybody, if you haven't used this stuff before, you want to be careful because it does have a good kick to it. Give that a mix and we give that a taste test. See if it needs more. For being cold, I think that's about right. So what I'm going to do, we'll try this up in a minute, but this stock here, I'm going to pull all that fat out of there, and then we're going to cook our beans in that stock. And my goal is to get 6 servings out of this freeze dryer load. So I'm going to make 6 little servings of the collard greens. Okay, there's my 6 portions. We'll get that in the freezer, freezing solid. I'll pop them out of the mold later and put them on the tray for the freeze dryer. So let me get busy getting all this all cleaned up in my crock pot, and then we'll take my beans that have been soaking overnight and add them to that. Let's see, what am I going to put on here next? For the next thing I think I'll show you is my cornbread. So I'll see you then. Okay, let's do the cornbread. What I did here is I got 2 boxes of the Jiffy cornbread mix. I used the honey one, and I mixed it up according to the directions, and I put a silicone liner in my Harvest Right tray, and then poured the batter over that and baked it inside the Harvest Right tray at 400 degrees. And the tray seemed to hold up very well, so I'm happy with that. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to use these dividers and cut it. That way it's nice and consistent for my meals. Now I'm going to be making 6 meals. So I got 4 extra squares, and I need that space so that I can get everything in this one load. So I'm going to take these out. Really, I just used them to cut that because it's so uniform. Makes a nice pretty job of it. And I'm going to take these 4, might as well get that off from sticking while I'm at it. I'm going to take 4 and I'm going to put those aside and I'll eat those. Now these have cooled down several hours. It might have been easier to get that out of there with a little bit warmer, I don't know. Alright. So it goes over a little bit. Get those in the freezer. Get that bread frozen solid. And I'll move on to the beans. The red beans, the main course. Okay, now for the red beans. So these red beans, that's a pound of them, I soaked overnight. And I've drained them. And I'm going to put them in my crock pot that has the stock from the ham. And I got some of the ham I trimmed off of the bone and trimmed the fat off of that. We're going to dump that in there. Then I got 3 stalks of celery, 1 large onion diced, and 1 bell pepper diced. And we're going to just season it to taste. I'm going to put some black pepper in there. And my favorite Cajun seasoning, slap your mama. I'm not going to overdo the seasoning right now. We can always add more later. That's it. Let's see. I ain't got a camera shot on that, but it's in the crock pot there. We'll readjust the camera for my test. We're going to put that on low for about 6 to 8 hours. I'll see you in 6 to 8 hours. Okay, so that has cooked 8 hours. And it's nice and delicious looking. I've started to let that cool. So what I did doing here is I'm just crushing a little bit of those beans, see if I can thicken it up a little bit. Not too much, because I don't like for my red beans to be too thick. I'm just crushing a few of the beans. And let me tell you, this smells delicious. Alright, let's get my molds out. Alright, so, like I said, I want to end up with 6 meals. So I'm going to do 6 of these rectangulars and then 6 of the smaller ones, just to make a nice tray full there. Alright, so there we have it. There's the beans. I'll get those in the freeze dryer, or in the freezer, and get them frozen solid, and then I'll pop those out of the mold and put them on the freeze dryer tray. So, only one thing left to do, and that is my rice. I won't show you that on camera. I mean, rice is rice. I'm just going to make it according to the directions. And I'll make the same amount of rice as I did the beans there. So, next time you see these, it'll all be coming out. I'll see you then. There we have it. There's my 6 meals that I'm going to package. My rice, my red beans, my cornbread, my collard greens, and my pudding. So, let me get busy packaging all this, and then we'll do a taste test. I'll see you in a minute. And there you have it. 6 bags of red beans and rice meals ready to go in my long-term storage, and we'll open one of these up. I've marked one of these because I didn't put, I used some stale O2 absorbers in the one that I'm going to open up just to save on those. So, we'll get these put away and open one up and do a taste test. I'll see you in a minute. Okay, let's get this going. Red beans and rice on New Year's Day. Okay, so what we got? Here's my cornbread. No O2 absorber. My greens. My beans. My accessory pack. My butterscotch pudding. My rice. And another O2 absorber. Alright, let's put that over here. So, let's do my rice and beans first. Now some may ask why I don't mix my rice and beans and rehydrate them together. And you can do that if you want to do that, but I'm going to tell you why I don't. Because I find that rice, as well as noodles if you're doing a noodle dish, it will absorb what it needs, and then you drain it and you have nice moist rice or noodles. But if I mix my beans in with my rice and then add the water, the rice either turns into, I got to make a really thin soup, or the rice takes forever to rehydrate. Eventually it would, like if I put it aside for hours, the rice would absorb the excess moisture from the bean sauce. But this way, you get two things. You get the distinguishable rice separate from the beans, which is the way you would normally serve it, and the rice rehydrates well, and I can still have a nice thick bean sauce over the top. That's why I do it. So I've had people ask that, and I just thought I'd explain that. Okay, take my O2 absorber out. Let's put some hot water in there. So like I say, I don't have to worry about how much I put in there. I'm just going to soak it. Seal that shut. Break that rice up a little bit in there. And let that do its thing. Let's do this beans. Now the beans, I don't want it to be that thin. So I'm going to be a lot more careful with my beans on how much water I put in there. Take my O2 absorber out. Let's get a stirring utensil from my accessory pack. Inside the pack I got iced tea today. Alright, so I'm going to put some water in there. And I'm going to make it the consistency that I want. So there's no measurement per se. If you like it runny, add a lot of water. If you like it thicker, don't add as much water. I kind of like it somewhere in between. Give that a good mix. And we'll seal that up. Put it off to the sides. I'm not a big greens fan, but for New Year's I thought I'd do them. I'd much rather have had corn or peas with this, but in the spirit of New Year's I thought I'd do collard greens. Take that O2 absorber out. I don't think these are going to take a lot of water. rehydrate. Zip that up. Put that off to the side. The cornbread is hard and dry, so what I thought I'd do is just break it up at the end of when I eat it. And mix it in with my beans and my greens. It was kind of hard to get it in this bag, but I got it in there. But I'm just, rather than try and squeeze it out, I'm just going to tear the bag open. There we go. So, what's that leave? Let's go ahead and put my salt and pepper and my towelette there. Somebody just sent me a message. So let's get my cold stuff rehydrating. Let me get some water. This is just powdered sweet tea that comes in a big canister. I just measure it out and package it that way. Enough for 12 ounces, but I mix it with 1 cup water because I like mine a little bit stronger than what it comes out if you mix it with 12 ounces of water. Put my cup of water in there. One thing I forgot to put in that package was my straw. That stuff happens. I'll always have a bunch of those laying around anyway, so give that a good shake. Take my fork, poke a hole in the plastic, put my straw in there, shut that up, and I got a nice drink. Oh yeah, that's nice. That leaves my pudding. Today I did butterscotch. I do have a video out there, I think it's pistachio pudding, on how I prepare my pudding, but it's basically instant pudding mixed according to the directions, freeze dried, then powdered with a rolling pin. All's fair in love and war, it should be about a half a cup of water I put in that. But we're going to go light on a half, just to make sure, because I don't want it runny. And we need that just a little bit, get rid of any big lumps of pudding in that. It seems kind of runny here, but I assure you, at least every time I've done it before, it does thicken up. Alright, so by now my rice should be hydrated. My spoon. Yeah, it looks pretty good. So all I'm going to do is drain the excess water off of that. And I should end up with just about perfect rice. Let's see. Look at that. Alright. We'll make a little bed there. Probably could have used more rice in this meal, I think. I love rice. But we'll do with what we got. Make a little bed there for my beans. Give that one more little knead. Make sure everything's looking good. Oh yeah, that looks really good. Just about the right consistency too. I'm going to get all that goodness out of there. What y'all think? Does that look good or what? And my greens. Those look good. Let's dish out my pudding. Let's pretty this up a little bit and I'll make it my nice thumbnail. Red beans and rice with collard greens, cornbread, and butterscotch pudding. Very pretty looking picture. Now let's dig in and do some taste testing. We are going to go in for the red beans and rice. Very nice. That rehydrated very well. Cornbread could be eaten just like this. It's kind of dry, kind of like a cracker. But I like cornbread in my stuff, so I'm going to put a little bit of cornbread on there. A little cornbread in my collard greens. Have a taste of those. They taste very nice for collard greens. Texture is about right. That seems like they absorbed the water they needed. That's good. Actually much better than I remember collard greens being. Now putting this cornbread in here might have been a mistake. Because it does add a bit of a crunch to your red beans and rice. But my gosh, does it taste good. It's hitting the spot. I didn't do a lot with my greens, but you can fix up your greens, I should imagine, any way you like. Just be kind of mindful of anything with fat. And you saw how I made my red beans and that. That's good. Well, I notice when I look at my analytics that you guys fade off with me eating my dinner. So I'm not going to sit here and eat this whole thing in front of you, because sometimes I put important stuff at the end, like some tips that I might do differently or something. And a lot of people might be missing that because they don't want to watch me eat my dinner. And I don't blame you. All right. One more taste of my cornbread. It's actually quite nice dry. I have no problem eating that dry. Okay. Something I sometimes forget to show you guys, if it's your first time of seeing one of my meal videos, you might not catch that, is my towelette, coin towelettes that I get off of eBay. Not eBay, Amazon. It says coin on it, made in Korea. Anyway, I get these like, I don't know, 1,000 to a box or something like that, and I just put one in each of my meal. What you do is you drop that in water. In this case, I got hot water. float around in there and soak for a minute. While that's doing that, I'm going to have some of my sweet tea. Oh yeah, that's good. And some butterscotch pudding, which I love. Like I always say, pudding just reconstitute. This instant pudding reconstitutes so beautifully. So, at the end of the meal, when I finish eating that, I need a towel to wipe up with. You just fish that out of your nice warm water. This is actually kind of hot. And unroll it. And you end up with a very nice towel for cleaning up. Would be nice to have some of those laying around for other hygiene purposes too, in an emergency situation. Take up no space, reconstitute very nicely. Reconstitute. Well, that's kind of like what they do. And there you go. So, hope you enjoyed the video. Hope you have a great new year, and I hope you stay with me throughout this year. And I'll see you next time. I got some really interesting next few videos. Things that no one's done before that I found successfully that they've done. And I've already done test runs of most of it. So please stay tuned and keep an eye out for those. Happy New Year, and I'll see you next time.